Let's do a lesson about finding area of circles. So the first thing you need to know is the formula for finding area of a circle. The formula, in a circle, the area, I'm going to use this as an example. Area is the space inside of it, right? So if I have this circle here, I want to find the area, which is the space all inside of it. The formula here is area is equal to pi times the radius squared. I remember this with the little thing in my head. I always say to myself, apple pies are square. Years ago, I taught with a teacher who would get apple pies from McDonald's, and they're actually rectangles, but if you cut them in half, they're squares. And so we would sort of use that as our part of the fun in teaching this lesson. So apple pies are squared. This is the formula that you will use to answer every single problem. Now, within this problem, you need to know that pi is equal, we use 3.14 as the value for pi. And for most of you guys, that last day that we were actually in school, we did that little activity to discover what pi is. Pi is that number. I've got that poster on my board. It's 3.1415. It goes on and on and on forever. But we just use this portion of it for our problems, for our calculations. And then r is the radius. So r is the radius, and the very first week, let me get my pencil here. The very first week that we were doing our work, you guys learned about the parts of a circle, and you should remember that r is radius, which is half of the distance across a circle. So if you have a circle, let's see if I'll draw one that's neat. Okay, that's not bad. This would be the distance all the way across it, if you remember, is called, let's put a center in it. This is the diameter, right? All the way across is the diameter, and half of that is the radius. Okay, so if we have a problem, let's do our first example where we have a circle, and let's say in this, I'll use this for our example. The diameter equals 10. Well, if the diameter is 10, then what's the radius going to be? It's going to be half of that, which is 5. Okay, so now if I want to find the area of this circle that has a diameter of 10, a radius of 5, I'm going to use my formula. Area is equal to pi r squared. And then I plug in my values that I know to find the area. Pi is 3.14 times, this is multiplication. They're all next to each other, so it just means multiplication. So times the radius, which in this case is 5 squared. All right, now according to order of operations, I have to do my exponents first. So this is going to be 3.14 times 5 times 5 is 25. Remember, if you remember from last week, our exponent lesson, this means 5 times 5, not 5 times 2. So that equals 25, and then the last thing I do is 3.14 times 25. So 3.14 times 25, and I get 78.5. Okay. If we had units here, let's say this is centimeters, then we would put centimeters squared, because the space inside, remember, we always do the unit squared, because it's like, how many teeny tiny little squares could we fit in that shape there? Well, we could fit 78.5 teeny tiny little centimeter cubes. All right, if we have, so this is example 1. Let's do another example where instead of we are given the diameter, so if you're given the diameter, you have to cut it in half and use the radius. If you are just given the radius, let's say this is number 1, we'll do number 2 right here. Okay, let's do a problem. And let's say the radius we are given is 4.25. again, we use the formula. Area is equal to pi r squared. In this problem, we are given the radius. So here the radius is 4 25/100ths. Now I just plug my information into my formula. Pi is equal to 3.14, so you are going to use 3.14 in place of that little pi symbol in every single problem. So 3.14 times the radius, which is 4.25 squared. All right, order of operations. I have to do 4.25 squared first. Oh, and I get this number, so I'm going to record that. 3.14 times 18.0625. I'm not going to round it just yet. I'm going to leave this in my calculator though, and now I'm going to do times 3.14. Now I'm going to round it. So now I'm going to round this to the nearest, I'm going to round it to the nearest tenths place, which is right here. So this is going to be 56.7. I believe where I got this problem, the units are inches. All right, inches squared, and that is the final answer for that one. All right, I will do one more with you. Let's do one more where we are given diameter. So here is a problem that says